home of the big brew and evil.
Camden Toy, welcome to Slayer Lit.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And also welcome to the city of Chicago. Are you enjoying the con so far?
It's been great. I love the Wizard Chicago Comic Con. This is my second time I've been here. I was here in 2009.
Oh, great.
So back again.
How many shows do you do during a year?
Oh gosh, each year is different. There are years that go by where I'll be doing one and sometimes two cons a month. So really frequently, and other years where there'll be maybe 4 or 5, maybe that year. So each year is different. Yeah, you never know.
Well, not that Buffy fans won't know who you are, but how about a quick rundown of all that you've been in the Whedonverse?
Well, thank you. Well, I was first in Hush. I played one of the gentlemen with actually my cohort here, Doug Jones. And that's Doug right there.
Mm-hmm.
So Doug and I are the two main gentlemen that you see. There's 6 of us all together, but there's 2 main ones that you see most of the time. That's Doug and I, and Doug's the. It's easy to tell. People always say, which one's which? Well, Doug is 6'4", and I'm 5'9", so it's kind of easy to tell which is which. So that was the first episode I did, and that's actually where Doug and I met. We became really good friends, and we've been friends ever since. And they brought me back in season 7 to play skin-eating demon Gnarl, the Hannibal Lecter in the demon world, which was a wonderfully delicious role. The script was written by Jane Espenson, and it's really fun. You remember it, right? Yes. Tasty little gifty. Yeah, it was a really fun episode to do. Delicious role to play. And then later that season, they brought me in to play the first Uber vamp that shows up, and that was a 4 episode arc. 4 episodes with that character. And then in Angel, they brought me in a show called the episode Why We Fight, which is the flashback episode of World War II. I played the Prince of Lies, and that was a really fun episode. An old, kind of miserable Nosferatu-esque vampire, Prince of Lies.
Excellent. So in the final episode of Buffy, when they multiplied you thousands of times, did you get paychecks for all of those?
No, unfortunately not.
You might want to give Fox a call on that one.
I know, it's a little too late for that. So, yes. Sorry. Yeah, I know. No, unfortunately not. No, it is interesting. That's exactly what they did. They actually digitally reproduced both myself and my stunt double, Ryan Watson. They scanned us head to toe and 360. They actually scanned us, and then they used those images to then create like the army of Uber vamps. Now, there were certainly a lot of Uber vamps in that last episode that were played by stunt guys. So there are probably a dozen or 2 dozen, I'm not sure how many, but quite a number of stunt guys playing Uber vamps in that last episode. But when you see the actual army from a distance, it's actual digital, it's all digitally reproduced.
That was a very memorable moment on the final episode. So how did you get into acting?
Oh boy, I grew up in a theatrical family. My father had been an actor and a makeup artist, and I literally grew up in the theater. I was raised in a small town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania called Delmont, and there was a small summer theater there. The 3 producers out of New York used to come into town every year, and they let me, this little kid, I think I started going in somewhere between 3rd and 4th grade, hang out there every summer and just soak it in. I mean, there were not that many roles for me because I was so young, but I got to see. I learned firsthand how do you build sets? How do you take sets down? How do you put sets up? How do you do lighting? How do you rehearse? How do you do costuming? How do you do makeup? It's like I literally grew up in the theater, and I did that every summer until mid high school. Yeah. So that's kind of.
Once out of school, you were like, "This is something I want to be and do."
It's funny. I took many hiatuses from acting over the years. I studied music for a number of years. Studied and played music for a number of years. I owned a French restaurant for a number of years. I was in the wine business for a number of years. I was a film editor for a number of years. But acting kept going back to, and finally it was like, okay, all right, I guess I should stop fighting this. It's that kind of feeling of finally, it's like, oh, I guess that's what I'm going to be doing.
That's yeah. Obviously, you're known in the various Buffy-related programs for being characters in full makeup. Is that something you sought out, or just sort of fell to you? Like, you look great under a mask.
That's an interesting question. I don't think it was something that happened. It was sort of serendipitous in a way, and sort of accidental, but it was, I mean, I certainly didn't plan it, let me put it that way. I didn't seek out that specific role to be played under makeup, but it was almost like the role found me because I'm a very physical performer. I have like an extensive background in mime and dance and
Which I was going to ask you, because you're so expressive in your physical movements.
Yeah, I mean, martial arts, knife fighting, collie sticks. I mean, there's a lot of European clowning, commedia dell'arte. I mean, there's a lot of background in physical work, physical comedy. I used to do street performing in San Francisco and in New York. And my father remember I mentioned my father was also a makeup artist. So he actually would teach me makeup when I was very young. And that happened accidentally as well, because I got into my father's makeup kit when I was 5 or 6. I was really young. I'm not sure the exact age. And instead of him getting angry at me getting into his stuff, he said, "Would you like me to show you how to use that?" And I was like, okay. So he and I would sit at my mother's dressing table in front of her mirror, and he would do the makeup on himself, and then I would do it on myself, because he wanted me to do it myself. So I would follow him, and then eventually I started learning. So that was actually, in a way, my first introduction to acting was through transformational makeup. It wasn't prosthetic makeup, but it was like, you know, beards and putty noses,
yes,
and you know, creating your face to look different, and lines for old age, and you know, so transforming yourself into something you're not. So in a way, that was my sort of first introduction to acting.
Sort of like growing up with Lon Chaney. I mean, you learn the art of change.
It kind of, yeah, it was very much. I mean, I certainly was fascinated by Lon Chaney's work from the time I was very young. So yeah, I was very lucky in that I had such an unusual father in that way, and such an unusual childhood. Just, you know, spending every waking hour of every summer at the theater. You know,
That sounds like a great childhood.
it was pretty amazing. I mean, it certainly wasn't without its, you know, painful moments like most childhood, but it was. When I look back, I kind of go, wow, that was kind of an unusual childhood. You know.
Do you still get to do live theater?
I do, but I haven't done it in a while. I did theater in New York off and on for a number of years. I was one of the founding members and the artistic director of a small Obie Award-winning theater in the Lower East Side called Nada. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but a lot of actors and writers and directors have come through there over the years. I don't think it's there anymore. I founded it back in the early '90s in New York. So we did a lot of theater there. I developed a lot of solo theater that I did there. I did theater with Tiny Mythic Theater Company in New York and Target Margin Theater. And then when I moved to LA back in '97, I worked with Theater of Note a little bit, and also Theater of Note, wonderful theater company. Kirsten Bagsness is she's on Dangerous Minds. She's a member, and I also worked with Sacred Fools a bit there too. So, but it's been a few years since I've done live theater. But I've certainly done my share of it. Yeah.
But definitely nothing you would rule out returning to again.
Oh no. It's something I definitely return to periodically. It's just that it's funny. Once you're in LA, it's not that there's not plenty of theater done in LA, because there is. There's an amazing amount of theater. It's just that you kind of get sidetracked. I think with the film and television at times. I think that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of, what are you doing next? What will we see you in?
Well, there's a number of things in the fire right now. There's a superhero film that we're kind of negotiating on right now, so I probably shouldn't mention the name, but it's a really fun script, and I play this super evil villain.
The very best kind.
Oh, it's so much. What a delicious script and what a delicious role. So I'm waiting. We're negotiating it now. So
can you say if this would be a character the average fan here at the con would know, or is it original?
It's original.
Okay.
It's a totally original concept. It's a totally original script, and it's a writer-director that's going to be shooting in Texas. That's probably all I can say right now, because it's not. We haven't signed the contracts yet.
Understandable.
But it's a really fun role, so I'm hoping everything works in the negotiations. With the funny thing with negotiations, you never know how it's going to go, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And anything else that's in the pipeline at the moment?
I'm trying to think. You know, as soon as you turn off the camera, I'm going to go, oh yeah, that. I'm going to kick my butt for not mentioning that. Well, of course, there's the ongoing soap opera that's online called The Bay.
Yes.
Which I've had a special guest star recurring role on that for the first 2 seasons. We're about to start shooting the 3rd season here shortly. Got nominated for a Daytime Emmy this year.
Oh, great.
Which is really exciting. So that's going to be ongoing. I play a character in that called Igor Chambers, who is just one of the bigger psychotic villains you can imagine.
And the perfect name for Saturday night chiller theater host.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and of course there we had chiller theater, hosted by Chili Billy Cardilli, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, there are a couple of tales from the Buffy set I've heard you tell in the past, and I would love to get them committed to video now for the world to hear. The first is a tale involving Amber Benson's very first day of filming on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, Amber's first episode was also Doug's in my first episode. It was Hush, and I know we were talking about this. There's a number of different versions of it. The way I remember it is that Amber was really. She used to say, you'd think if you see a film and then you see the makeup, away from the film, you think, okay, it can't be scary in person. And when she saw us in full makeup as the gentleman, she was like, oh my God, this is way beyond frightening. So she was really scared of us. Even between takes, when we'd be like, take the teeth out and be like, hey, how's it going? We'd be joking with her. Oh, hey, and she'd say, oh, you're really scary. And we thought she was kidding. And her mother had to take us aside and go, guys, she's not kidding. She's really scared of you. So we're like, oh, sorry. And it's true. I mean, I don't think we got to know any of the regulars that season because they were all like, "Nice working with you." They were just nobody during lunch would deal with. I think Mark Lucas was the only one that would really kind of hang out with us in between takes. Hey, it's great to have you guys here. And I can't remember any. I think all the other ones. I mean, Allie was literally like, they look like dead people. I don't want to look at them. It was pretty scary makeup.
Well, here's a question. When you'd be filming episodes, would the main cast ever see you without makeup? Would they recognize you if you were on the set?
Well, that's an interesting story. I was actually shooting one of the Uber Vamp episodes with Sarah, and those episodes, I don't know if you remember, they were all at night, and so we were shooting a lot of late night episodes, and Sarah and I, we had these long times between takes, so we were sit around and sort of get to know each other, just sort of chit-chat, and one night she suddenly goes, you realize I still don't know what you look like without makeup. And I was like, oh my God, that's right, you don't. Because of course I get there 4 hours ahead of everybody else. I leave after everybody else leaves because it takes an hour and a half to take the makeup off. So this is the third episode, third character I've done with Sarah, and she still doesn't know what I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Oh. So I thought, well, that's creepy. So it was funny, her makeup artist actually came up to our makeup trailer the next day and said to Rob, my makeup artist, do you have a photo of Camden? Because Sarah would like to know what he looks like. And and eventually she did see me. I mean, I went on the set one day when I can't remember why something was happening. I got there earlier, or I had to swing by and get something. I can't remember what it was, and she was there, and I was walked up, hey, how you doing? And she was like, oh, finally get to see you without makeup, But it would be funny. Sometimes I would get out of makeup early, or I'd be there early before I get, and they'd be breaking for lunch, and they go, oh, just go get lunch, and then we'll put you in makeup afterwards. And sometimes that would happen. Whatever. Sometimes the schedule was such. So I'd be in line, and nobody recognized me, and they go, oh.
Just wandering off the street here?
Yeah, well, exactly. That was I think one of the caterers was like, well, is he supposed to be here? And they were like, oh, I don't know. So that kind of thing would happen occasionally too.
They just tell people you're Sarah's stunt double. And speaking also of Sarah, I know that when you're on the set and everyone's busy with what they have to do, and they don't necessarily always think of the needs of some of the other actors on the set.
Oh, yeah.
But occasionally those needs must be met, and you had an incident where Sarah met it for you.
Yeah, she's one of those people that's always concerned about people's safety, about their comfort. Are you warm enough? You had enough to eat? And one night we were shooting really, really late, so I think they brought in a third meal or something. It was and she came up to me and said, that third meal is over by craft service, and it's chicken or whatever. And we hadn't even. I don't think we had officially taken a break yet. And I'm like, well, I'm still in these big hands, and teeth, and I'm like, well, I'm shooting, I'll be done in a... She goes, no, if you don't go now, it's gonna be gone. They're vultures. So she grabbed me by the hand and took me over there and like actually grabbed a plate and started, what would you want, a wing? You want a thigh? What, want a leg? What would you like? So she's literally serving me dinner, and then she's like, okay, we have to hide this somewhere so you can eat it after. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, the star of the show is serving me dinner. Wow. It was just really, it was very sweet of her.
That's
she's right.
an unexpected anecdote. Very
unexpected. I mean, and it's true. I mean, if she hadn't done that, it probably would have been gone. You know, and I would have been like, what? You know, and so she'd said, no, these late night dinners, they go really fast. She was like, so it was really sweet of her, to do that.
Well, Camden, you are a delight.
Thank you. Thanks.
On behalf of everyone, I want to thank you for doing this and wish you a great rest of the con.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
You're gonna think about that later, mister, and you're gonna laugh.